There's a guy I met once who told me a story he said I needed to share with the world. Well, I don't know about the world, but I'm going to share it with you anywho. It all starts in Prussia, in Eastern Europe, and goes all the way to Southern California. Now that's a long trip. I suggest you bring along some water. That same guy also told me that H2O can cure most ills, and I believe he was right. The story is about Herman Silver. Herman only spoke Hebrew, which is what they spoke in Prussia. He dreamed of a better life as he took a ship to America. On board, Herman met a Catholic priest who he gave lessons in Hebrew, and the priest gave Silver lessons in English. Sounds like a pretty good trade to me. When he arrived in New York, Herman was feeling a bit under the weather, and the doctor suggested he would feel better if he moved to Southern California. He got a job as a railroad man, and every night he dreamed of something more. In 1900, he ran for mayor, and he lost. Like me, Herman loved water. That got him the gig as chairman of the Los Angeles Water Commission. I know this is getting a bit weird, but go with it. You see, Silver figured that in order for Los Angeles to grow, it would need more reservoirs. The first one he built was in Ivanhoe, a neighborhood northeast of downtown with some really cool homes and parks. The people of Ivanhoe would never go thirsty, and because of that, they renamed their neighborhood Silver Lake to thank Herman. Well, the producers here just asked me to move ahead 60 years or so I guess I'll skip over the scene on the west side of LA. Find yourself a record by The Doors or Van Halen if you need a refresh. In the late 1980s, the rent was cheap on the east side, and starving musicians and artists knew it was the place to find more like-minded folk. By the 90s, Silver Lake had tipped the city of Los Angeles on its side, with people who were up for something new, a new scene. That's just the beginning of what's in the water in Silver Lake. I've lived it, and it's definitely a wild time.
I was never really paying attention to a neighborhood called Silver Lake. I just happened to live in Silver Lake.
Hi, could I get the steak chilaquiles, please? Scrambled eggs?
Sure.
Cool. Ooh, thank you. Looks so good. Well, there's multiple scenes is the thing. It's not really like one communal thing. It's like if you're into like hardcore, then you know the show's happening for that. But if you're not into it, you wouldn't know where those shows are happening.
The Silver Lake scene was not only incredibly intelligent, it was also exciting, and it was just a ton of fun.
For me, it just represented like kind of creativity untethered from capitalism. Like it was just a petri dish where human beings could come together and make cool stuff together.
Everybody's arms were wide open.
Silver Lake has always been so attractive because it's full of all these little gems that are just kind of tucked in. Tons of these houses that are Neutra, Schindler, Gregory Ain, James Garrett, Lautner, all over the place. This is where all the movie studios started. This is where the bohemian culture happened. This is where the first like gay organization, the Mattachine organization started. There was a lot of parts of the, progressive politics / communism. Like there's all kinds of emigres from Europe coming here. Every block has something interesting, and often a lot of new stuff too, because a lot of younger architects have built some really interesting things around here.
When I moved over the hill from the valley, it wasn't as if I was an outsider moving into an area and a scene that I felt uncomfortable in, is because I had felt uncomfortable my whole life. So I came over the hill and sought out people that had like minds.
I arrived here from Boston at age 26, lived in the Beechwood area, and everyone's like, I said, where do I go? Where are the gay bars? Oh, that's West Hollywood. So I went to West Hollywood. Always felt like an alien, never fit in, hated the music. I mean, I'm a punk and, post-punk, new wave, alternative guy. Now, and to get laid though, I would kind of deal with it just to get laid, but I mean, I would not want to hang there. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I guess people were drawn to this area because there's so many cool shops and things around, and obviously the rent was cheap.
Silver Lake is kind of the Lollapalooza of neighborhoods. Look, the Red Hot Chili Peppers came to the opening night of my club, a drag club. I don't know how they found out about it, but they did.
Silver Lake,
Whatever, dude.
the music scene.
Everybody that I knew was already in a full-time band. So what I ended up doing was just asking friends, borrowing people from different bands to play with me at the live shows. So every Seawolf show just consisted of various people from these different bands, as well as like recording the record. Really was just like, hey, what do you call people up? Hey, what are you doing today? You want to come play guitar in this song, or come play cello, or whatever. It wasn't a money thing. People were just wanting to play music, and we were all friends, and that's what we like to do.
Indie 1031, that had a big impact, I think, on especially the East Side starting to grow, because this is where a lot of those artists were living, and those were who we were putting on the air.
The great thing about it is that there was nobody telling us what to do. We had one company that was renting out the radio station, the other station, like nobody was telling us what to do. We got to do whatever we wanted and play whatever we wanted.
I don't remember the date, but it was, I'm pretty sure 2003, I want to say fall of 2003 was the first Seawolf show on the stage. So you would store all of your gear right here. And then this, I don't think this curtain was here. I think you just would kind of wait back here, and then you just, this thing, DJ booth is not here, so your drums would go there, and you just walk out and to your adoring fans.
We are here at the historic El Cid in Silver Lake, California. I know it's been here for a very long time. The early 1900s is when it was originally built, and then it became a bar called the Jailhouse, and then eventually it became a flamenco bar, and then became a music venue. I was really interested in starting my own record label, starting my own music magazine, and that turned into booking bands because I was writing about music on the internet when blogging wasn't really a popular thing yet. And then birth of MySpace made it really easy to contact people, and that just kept flourishing into wanting to know how to do everything so that I could be a little bit controlling. The real catalyst in this is being very good friends with Kevin Bronson and us always sharing music tips with each other.
People made a bigger deal out of me than I made of myself. Thanks for that. I wanted to be the fly on the wall. I wanted to be a witness, and no more than a witness, really. I didn't want to be a participant. I didn't want to manage bands. I didn't necessarily want to write their autobiographies. I just wanted to witness what was going on and then tell the readers about it. It felt like I was walking into the center of the universe. It was, as soon as you were in the front door, the noise, the people, the vibe, the hum that good public spaces have, it was all here.
There were people that maybe had a tentacle into something else but were music fans that would also be out at Spaceland on a Saturday night, whether they knew who was playing or not.
The big thing was to get the Spaceland residency, that in particular, because You played every Monday night for a month, and it was free. And so you'd get all kinds of walk-ups, people just coming to check out who's playing.
Like if people could score a residency, you were on the map.
There were some politics. There were some great bands. There were a lot of women included in the scene, not only playing in bands, but we have Liz Garo is a perfect example.
Liz Garo really was a big role in Starcrawler and she in a lot of bands though in LA, and still she's a name.
I would do anything at the Echo just to get people in the door, fashion shows, birthday parties, because Echo Park was still a rough town. And it was a very big stepping stone for a local band to get the Monday night residency, because you would do the residency, and if you did well at the residency, 2 months later you would get a headline show that was ticketed. I didn't realize it till much later, but it was something that booking agents, record labels, industry people paid attention to. It gained momentum over the years, and it started having leverage if you could do a Monday night residency. There was at one point where Spaceland, Silver Lake Lounge, the Echo, maybe one other venue, were all doing Monday night residencies. So you could bop around the neighborhood and see a bunch of amazing music for free.
You get sad still when you come by here? Yep. Yeah, me too. All the time. Good things, they don't last. We are in the parking lot in the club formerly known as Spaceland. The booker was a genius. He had his finger on the pulse. I think he could tell the future.
It was like Cheers, where everybody could come and you would know people here. And he actually gave out cards to artists. You can come in anytime you want. So it became a place where just people hung out. They knew they would see friends.
You could get $2 Pabst Tall Boys. Come on, it was the place to be. Gin and tonics were $3.50. Come on. It looks like there's been a death in the family if you look at the front of the building. It's kind of sad. By the time this place finally shuttered in 2020, the scene had moved on. And yes, it was sad. A lot of obituaries were written about it, but its influence carries on.
So the Echo's upstairs, it's a smaller venue, and the Echoplex is downstairs. You can just go from inside down the stairs. That's the easiest way. But since the Echoplex is on Glendale Boulevard and then the Echo's on Sunset, Glendale goes under Sunset, so you have to walk across the street and go down what's known as the piss stairs, because it always smells like piss.
The famous piss stairs, piss steps, what do you want to call it? This is where we'd come to our business, whether it's biological or head changing in between shows. You kind of had to do it quickly though, because at night a new batch of pee would always be here, and you'd have to kind of do this quickly so you didn't breathe it all in. But it smells the same whether it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon apparently, so it hasn't changed one bit in 20 years, so looks like it's still serving its function as the outdoor toilet to the rock stars and fans alike. But many a times been here, many marks, many territorial pissings, as they say, and glad it's still here actually. Hasn't cleaned up. One of the few things that's still the same.
This is the original restaurant where we're standing. This is the bar in this beautiful restaurant that was transformed into this horseshoe shape in the 1980s. And then if you enter this room, this is our main dining room that has a live tree growing inside the space. My dad, Rudy Del Campo, knew at the age of 5 that he wanted to be a professional dancer. The last film that he danced in was West Side Story. This is a rooftop scene, and this is my father right here, Rudy Del Campo from 1962. Casita del Campo, that's my last name. And Casita is little house. Del Campo means in the country, so it's little house in the country.
I mean, Robert and I have known each other since
The late
late 1992. I think one thing that needs to be talked about, especially in the 80s and 90s when there was so much loss from AIDS.
Right.
Again, Casita was welcoming, and our community knew that they could come here, whether they were healthy or sick, and open arms. And we had so much loss at that time, so it was really important.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The Casita has been a safe haven and a respectable place and a loving space for everyone, especially the gay community, since the 1960s.
Incredible.
The 1970s, the 1980s, and it only got busier and busier and busier. And this room in the 1980s was a sea of men. A sea of men on a regular basis. Every Friday night, a group of 6 will be here, a group of 6 over here. It was so regular that we started painting the names on the back of the chairs.
I'll never forget at the theater, people like Liza Minnelli showed up.
Yes.
Like how is
Pamela
Liza
Anderson was there
Pamela
also.
Anderson?
Yeah.
And again, there was no like velvet rope. They were just waiting in line. But like Liza Minnelli showing up to a queer theater, it was like Jesus entered the room. I mean, come on.
She had dinner here first.
Did she really?
Yes,
Wow.
she did. She had dinner
How
here
cool.
first, and then she went downstairs.
And see, at that time, right, for gay people, especially gay men, all we had to be able to connect with each other was bars, nightclubs, and a place like Casita del Campo.
Here's to another 62 years.
Okay.
Viva la vida.
We are at the corner of Sunset Boulevard and Hyperion Avenue in Silver Lake. And this is the dedication to the historical significance of what happened here at the Black Cat in 1967. The raid on the Black Cat, where undercover police officers raided the bar on New Year's Eve, and 6 men were charged with lewd conduct for kissing each other. I mean, it would be really cool if there was a Hollywood tour bus for queer rights in LA and in Silver Lake, with the significance of this happening 2 years before Stonewall, being the first demonstration of the community to first time stand up and fight back. This was unheard of in 1967. One thing that's really important for the people of Silver Lake in 2024 to understand is that the Silver Lake of 1950s with the Mattachine Society, the late 60s with the Black Cat, is that pioneers came before us to be out and be proud and be unafraid. And we all stand on their shoulders. I think it's really important for the young queer community now to know that lots of people that were in Silver Lake at that time are part of why they can get married now, why they can show affection to their partner in public without fear, can walk down the street holding hands. So when the protest happened a few months later in February of 1967, that was a watershed moment. When you don't fight back, you don't get rights. So someone had to start the ball rolling, and as far as I'm concerned, the Black Cat did that.
Silver Lake was always a more reserved, quieter place, and there was room to be who you were. And I think that's like the metaphorical water that we were swimming in.
Kind of anything goes here. It feels like the city has a character, but it's not an imposing character on you.
It was like hungry musicians and artists who moved to this part of town because they could afford it. And they're around other hungry musicians and artists. And we shared ideas, we shared inspiration, we shared bills, and we kind of pushed each other to just play these shows. So it was really just a communal effort, and it was the struggle, collective struggle for everybody.
You were never a wallflower. Everyone was so accommodating. Everyone was doing the same thing together. We were all uplifting each other. So if you walked into a room and you didn't know someone, that just didn't happen.
head up to the reservoir. This area up in here is kind of where all the debauchery, as you say, went down. All of these houses in the hills. You know, Los Angeles has a very a reputation for not being the friendliest city, but the reality is that it's all about getting to house parties is where everybody kind of welcomes you. You know, on the street, people might be slightly standoffish, but once you're in somebody's house, it's like, all right. Driving a car like this is not a rational thing.
Doesn't matter how you get here, baby. Just get here and see.